D. Mace Fingan and Donick 1025, 1063 The Game. Broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Gabe Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service, and we are presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, and David Janes here with you. Willie Donick out today. It's the first day of school, Derek Mason.
Yes, it is.
Titans rookies and veterans report to training camp today. First practice tomorrow at noon. Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi will hold their pre-training camp news conference. We will carry that for you live. Tim Hasselbeck of ESPN will join us at 1 o'clock. But Derek, what's it like on the first day of training camp, the first day of school? I remember when I would go back to school, a lot of you listening, your kids are getting ready to go back to school in a couple of weeks, right?
Uh-huh.
You got your new backpack, your new shoes, your new markers, your new Texas Instruments calculator, your TI-83. You're excited. So what's it like when you, after the long off season, you report to camp for the first time? How are you feeling? What's it like in the building when you walk back in for the first day of training camp?
I mean, it's just like, you explained. We're no different. Think of football players, athletes, as big children. That's all we are. We are kids at heart. So anytime you've been, away from your classmates, when you see them that first day, it's just like, hey, what's going on? Them ragging on you, you ragging on them. How you look good, man. How's the family and everything else? And you're just happy to see everybody. But for others, I know, especially the rookies, they're coming in and they're like freshmen, and they're trying to figure some things out. And they are not leading the pack; they're following the pack. What a veteran do, you're doing. You want to be there. As a matter of fact, you want to be there when the veterans come in. And then you have a tier guys that are coming back that want to prove something, that knows that their roster spot is not secure. So they come in the building and they have a different perspective. To them, it's almost as if they're walking in as freshmen in a sense, because there's no security. They may know a few things, but they don't know enough that they've, on their way to graduation, so to speak. So, and that's that second contract. So, I mean, but all in all, we're just like big kids. The coaches love it because now they got everybody in one building for the next 6 or 7 months. So they love that. But all in all, man, it's a fun time. There's going to always be, I always have butterflies no matter what. There's always going to be some anxiety, and you're sort of measuring yourself up to who you were last year, and coming in hoping that you've gotten better, and praying that you don't have any injuries throughout camp. So, but we're big kids. Don't think we do something special. They may drive up in much fancier cars. No longer are we riding up in bicycles or the old beat down car that mama bought us. No, they're riding in not motorcycles, but they're riding in on, 6-figure cars. So, but all in all, the mentality is the same. We're like big kids.
I remember those days, those first days of school, especially when it was lunchtime and you've got your tray and you're looking around. Where do I sit? And you end up sitting in the bathroom stall by yourself, eating your lunch.
I don't think there was ever anyone
I don't think
on the team that actually did that. But when you say that, it's the same with grown kids, athletes. You're trying to find out, I coming as a rookie. Now you're there with the veterans. You're trying to find out, where do I sit? Like, should I sit right there? Does Ray Lewis sit over there? Does Eddie George sit right there? Does Steve McNair? Which one of these guys sit here?
Where does Derek Mason sit? I don't want to sit there.
And so, or you try to find your group, your wide receiver group. And typically, the young fellas, you get in your group with your wide receivers until you start to expand your friend group. So, But that's how it is.
I'm just
Exactly how you
imagining-
explained it.
I'm just imagining one of your later training camps, some rookie sitting in your seat and you walking up to them. That's my seat, rookie.
Oh, I just tap them. Best believe. I just give him a little tap on the shoulder. That's all.
That's my seat,
You
fool.
know, hey, man. Especially in meeting rooms, this is where it gets funny. In the big meeting room or the smaller meeting rooms, because after a while, veteran guys, we stake our claim. Like, boom, we here.
Where was your seat?
In my seat, boom. Like, if I was in the smaller room, I was in the front. My start of my career. Toward the latter part of my career, I was in the back where the coach was. So it kind of depends. But in a meeting room, I was always, right toward the middle part, but closer to the edge seats. And people knew it. Like, people knew where Steve McNair sat. Nobody sat there. People knew where Ray and Eddie and Suggs and Reed, those guys sat, and no one sat there. And those rookies will find that out very quickly, because you walk into a meeting room and you sit down and somebody said, "Hey, scoot over, man. Scoot over."
Are the rookies expected to sit?
Oh, they're in the front.
Right in the front.
Oh, absolutely. They're expected. It would be malpractice if you take your little narrow tail to the back of the room as a rookie. You better sit somewhere within that first 5 to 7 rows, somewhere where the coach can lay eyes on you as you're speaking. That's where you need, or unless, the position coach said, "Hey, we're all going to sit in this little particular area right here." But outside of that, you better be in the front row.
One of those rookies finally signed his contract yesterday. The Titans agreed to terms, according to Tom Pelissero, with second-round pick outside linebacker Femi Oladejo, a 4-year, $8,415,106 contract with the first 3 years fully guaranteed and a signing bonus of roughly $2.8 million.
Mm-hmm.
We spent a lot of time discussing the fact that for quite a while, there were only 2 second-round draft picks signed. Those 2 second-round picks received fully guaranteed contracts. So the two sides, the rookies and the teams, were waiting to see who would blink first. But Femi Oladejo, he is signed. He will report to training camp today. That's a big one, considering the pick that was invested in him, as well as the importance of trying to find an edge rusher who can help this team.
They sorely need an edge rusher, and they sorely need someone that can put the pressure on the quarterback. Now, we expect that, Jeffrey Simmons will be a much better version of himself than he was last year. It seems like, he's dropped some weight a little bit, so he's going to try to get to the quarterback. But we can't, bank on Jeffrey Simmons, getting, double-digit plus sacks. Now, if he reached double digits, that's great, but he needs to be somewhere 9 plus. But that pressure, no doubtably, needs to come from the outside. And since the days of Harold Landry, when he was younger, before the injury, they haven't had a consistent pass rusher on the edge. Now, Harold came back, and it took him a minute, and he came back to be an 8-sack guy, somewhere 8.5-sack guy. But they need a guy that can get double-digit sacks from the outside. And he's a guy that they're hoping, can do it.
So yesterday, Derek, Willie gave me a homework assignment. He wanted me to find out how many rookie quarterbacks who started week 1 appeared in every game for their team that season. So my spidey senses started tingling. My nerdy senses started tingling. I sat down, I pulled up my Excel spreadsheet, my calculator, all of those things, took a puff out of my inhaler. I don't actually have an inhaler.
We need to get him like a song, some type of song when he goes into this.
It's like a bat signal.
Nerd son.
Instead of a bat in the sky, it's a calculator. So here's what I did, Derek. I looked at every rookie first round quarterback who started every game for their team that season. Or sorry, I wanted to find out how many of those rookie first round quarterbacks started every game for their team. I went all the way back to 2008.
Okay.
Since 2008, there have been 26 rookie first round quarterbacks who started week one. Again, 26 rookie first round quarterbacks who started week one since 2008. Of those 26, how many do you think started every game that season?
Ooh.
And I will tell you, I was surprised by the number.
There were 28 of them.
There were 26.
26.
26 rookie first round quarterbacks who started week one since 2008.
Oh, started week one.
Who
Okay.
started week one, because this was Willie's premise.
Yes.
Cam Ward is expected to start week one against the Denver Broncos. But as we were talking about Will Levis yesterday and the backup quarterback situation, we were all in agreement that at some point Cam Ward will probably have to come out of the lineup.
Okay.
So Willie wanted to find out how many rookie quarterbacks who started week one made it through the entire season. I limited it to the first round quarterbacks because I wanted a smaller sample to deal with.
Okay.
So there have been 26 of them since 2008. How many started every game?
Ooh, man. Off the top of my head, I would say 8.
I'm thinking 13.
I'm thinking 8.
So Derek says 8. David says 13.
Started every game since
Yes.
2000.
Since 2008.
2000. Oh, since oh my goodness.
So I will give you an example that you lived firsthand. In 2008, Joe Flacco, rookie first round quarterback, started week one, started all 16 games.
Yep.
So how many quarterbacks like Flacco since 2008 were drafted in the first round, started week one of their
I would
rookie
say
year?
10. I'll say
Okay.
10. I would
10,
say
and
10.
David, you're sticking with 13?
I am.
I'll say 10.
The answer is 15.
Ooh,
Wow.
15 of 26 rookie first round quarterbacks started week one and made it through the entire season. Here's the list. All 3 first round rookie quarterbacks from last season: Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, and Caleb Williams. All 3 made 17 starts. 2023, none. Anthony Richardson started 4 games. CJ Stroud started 15 games. Bryce Young started 16 games. So Bryce Young and CJ Stroud almost started every game, but they did not. In 2021, Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence both started 17 games. Zach Wilson started 13 games. In 2020, Joe Burrow started 10 games. In 2019, now keep in mind, we're going back to 16 games now, not 17. Kyler Murray made 16 starts in his rookie season. Sam Darnold made 13. Carson Wentz made 16. Marcus Mariota made 12. Jameis Winston made 16. So since 2015, there have been 15 for rookie first-round quarterbacks who started week one. 8 started every game. Going back even further, E.J. Manuel, 10 starts in 2013. In 2012, Robert Griffin, 15 starts. Andrew Luck, 16 starts. Ryan Tannehill, 16 starts. Brandon Weeden, 15 starts. 2011, Cam Newton, 16 starts. 2010, Sam Bradford, 16 starts. 2009, Mark Sanchez, 15 starts. Matthew Stafford, 10 starts. Joe Flacco, 16 starts. Matt Ryan, 16 starts.
So they had 2 in that class that played the whole season from start to finish. Joe Flacco and Matt Ryan.
Yes. In 2008.
I think more and more you're going to start to see quarterbacks start the season, and the only way they don't finish the season is because of injury. Because I'm hard pressed to believe that even with Richardson, I think he was dealing with the shoulder, and I think they would have let him play the whole season out. I think because he needed the experience. He needed to be underneath center. He needed time on task because he hadn't had a lot of that in college. So I think now teams are looking at it from the standpoint of, you're going to be our day one starter. Now it depends on, how late in the first round they're drafted, because some guys get drafted, at the bottom of the first round, and if they start, great, but the expectation is the veteran quarterback is going to lead us for another year or two, and you will be the guy. But most times, if you're in that top 10, they want you to start early, and they're putting you out there. And once they put you out there, especially if this is the first game of the year, they're not looking to pull you, unless one, you get injured, or it just looks so bad that you have to. But I don't think situations come to that. As far as now, you may make some bonehead mistakes like Will Levis did his second year, but it'd be hard pressed for an organization to pull their quarterback,
I do want to
under
make
any other circumstance.
I do want to make one amendment.
Uh-huh.
Mark Sanchez started 15 games, not 16 games in 2009. So
Okay.
it's 14 of 26. So still more than half.
Yeah.
More than half, which I was surprised by.
Now, I guarantee you, if you go back, there's a time period, if you go back, where the number dwindles, like,
I'm sure.
because in that day and age of football, it was almost a requirement that you were going to sit your first year, maybe second and third, because the length of the contracts.
I do have one more trivia question for the both of you.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious how many Titans quarterbacks in franchise history, so limited to Tennessee Titans, not Tennessee or not Houston Oilers, Tennessee Oilers / Titans history. How many quarterbacks have made it through an entire season starting every game? I will tell you that 2 of them did it on multiple occasions, but there are 3 Titans starting quarterbacks who started every game in a season for the Tennessee Titans.
Oh boy. Marcus didn't do it.
Marcus did not.
Yeah, because he played 15 games, I think, somewhere around there. Ryan Tannehill.
He did twice.
Yeah.
In 2021, 17 starts, and in 2020, 16 starts.
Steve McNair didn't. I don't think he ever.
Steve did it 3 times.
Did he do it? Well, he must have been
Steve
early in
did
his
too.
career.
He
Wow.
started 16 games in 1997, 1998, and 2002.
Yep, early in his career.
That makes sense. That
Early in
makes
his
sense.
career.
So
yeah.
Tannehill did it twice in 2021 and 2020. Steve McNair did it 3 times in 2002, 1998, and 1997. Can you name the other?
Ooh, gosh. It wasn't Vince.
It was not Vince Young.
Kerry.
Yeah, was it
Kerry Collins?
Was it Kerry?
It was not Kerry Collins.
Okay, so
Zach?
Nope.
Remember?
no,
No.
what? No.
No.
It was I'm trying to think of the quarterbacks. Jake Locker.
No. Do you need a hint?
Yes.
We'll be talking to a relative of his later today.
Oh, Matt.
Matt
Hasselbeck.
Hasselbeck started 16 games for the
Really?
Titans in
No.
2011.
I did not
thought
know
he
that.
came in, or I thought who was Jake Locker played some that season. I thought he
did
may have
too.
started a game or 2 that season.
Let me double check. In 2000,
I'm not saying you're wrong, but I was just like, man.
Locker appeared in 5 games,
Okay.
but he did not make any starts.
Oh,
That,
okay,
okay, that
yeah.
makes sense.
Hasselbeck started all 16 games for the Tennessee
That's
Titans
crazy.
in 2011.
Oh,
So the
wow.
only 3 quarterbacks in Titans history who started every game in a season: Ryan Tannehill twice, Matt Hasselbeck once, and Steve McNair 3
That's
What
times.
a list.
That's a shame because only one of those guys were drafted by you. And the other 2 guys you brought in are free agents, which means I go back to this. After Steve McNair, this team has had a hard time developing quarterbacks. Just look at it. Even Marcus, he did a good job, but he hit a ceiling very early in his career. And then he was, dealing with some injuries, but he ended up losing his starting job. So this organization hadn't been able to develop a quarterback, and I hope it changes with Cam Ward this year and moving on.
615-737-1025. Our phone and text lines are driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. A reminder that Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi will address reporters at noon. We will carry that news conference for you live. Tim Hasselbeck will join us at 1 o'clock. But coming up next, DVD. We are sponsoring a charitable event, let's call it. Not really, but for the purpose of this segment. I'm going to call it Adopt a Titan. That is the DVD-sponsored charity event, and I will explain what Adopt a Titan is coming up next. 615-737-1025. Tune into ESPN 94.9 The Fan today as the Nashville Sounds take on Charlotte at First Horizon Park. Pregame begins at 6:20 and the first pitch is at 6:35. Coverage also available on the Game Nashville app and at thegamenashville.com. Sounds baseball on ESPN 94.9 The Fan is presented by Twin Peaks and Family Leisure. This week's Nashville's best deal is Eastside Bowl in Madison, right down the street from my house in East Nashville. I'm a big fan of Eastside Bowl, a vintage bowling alley, music venue, lounge, and arcade designed by locals for locals. Get 2 hours of bowl plus shoe rentals for up to 6 people for just $45 while supplies last. Go to thegamenashville.com/deals to get yours now. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, David Janes here with you. So as training camp is about to begin, rookies and veterans report today. First practice is tomorrow. We are going to hold a quote-unquote charity event. I'm going to call it Adopt a Titan. And here's what we're going to do, and you can participate as well, at 615-737-1025. Derek, as you know, most of the roster spots are spoken for
Yes.
on the Tennessee Titans. But there are always roster battles. There are depth players who are fighting for a roster spot. And to me, that's the most interesting part of training camp most years. Which player that we don't know much about is going to stand out during the preseason and stake a claim to a roster spot when the 53-man roster is due. So this is what we're going to do. David, you can participate as well. We are each going to pick a bubble player that we are going to invest in as camp kicks off. And we are going to monitor that player's progress, those players' progress, throughout training camp. So, Derek, we'll start with you. Which bubble player are you, quote-unquote, adopting as training camp kicks off today?
Yeah, we need some. Don't we need some type of music, like background music or something? I don't know what type of music would go along with an adoption.
We'll leave that to David. He has a good vibe for this sort of thing.
A football adoption. Let's just say
a football adoption.
A football
okay.
adoption.
We'll find something.
Yeah, we'll find something. But you said guys that are bubble guys that I believe or that I will adopt and monitor.
Yes.
Throughout the whole season, throughout the whole training camp.
Yes.
And the guy that I'm going with is Jaquan Jackson.
Okay.
Better known as JJ. I'm gonna call him JJ.
Jaquan Jackson.
Yes. Last year for him was weird to me. And I talked to TD a few times about Jaquan Jackson because it looked like he was one of the guys at the beginning of the camp that seemed to be coming on. He showed some explosiveness, some quickness, his ability to get in and out of his breaks. They talked about it. Coach talked about him, knowing the offense and everything else. So they spoke highly of him early on. And then it sort of flipped once he had, I like it. There we go. Once he had the fumble and things never sort of balanced out anymore for him, even with all of their problems at the wide receiver position last year, them trading away D-Hop, they were not synced. The quarterback and receiver Ridley and either one of the quarterbacks really were not in sync. Rudolph was more than Levis, but there still was something off with Ridley. So that was a room that needed pass catchers desperately last year because they didn't have one. We knew what Nick Westbrook-Ikhine was. He was a good receiver, okay? He's your 3, your 4, but he's not a guy that is going to come in and dominate a game week in and week out. He may score you a touchdown 8 weeks in a row, but that's really about it. It's not going to build on that touchdown. So I kept wondering, like, why isn't this kid getting on the field? Like, he showed that he had some burst and everything else. Why isn't he getting back on the field? Well, part of it was, I think, that his inability to play on the special teams. More importantly, the return game. When you can't play on the return game and you're a 4th, 5th wide receiver, the likelihood of you seeing the field, let alone dressing, is the likelihood of you dressing, let alone seeing the field, goes down tremendously. And he ended up being deactivated for, I think, a part of the season.
I recall him having some issues.
Yes,
fielding punts.
Exactly. So this is a guy that I am that I want to be. I am going to purposely be invested in because I want to see, has he matured? Has he gotten better? Has he developed? What does his second year look like as opposed to last year? Did he learn something from last year? Is he come in with a better attitude? That's what I want to see. So this is the guy that I am choosing to adopt, and make the guy that I will watch, look over, take care of throughout the whole training camp.
So Derek is quote unquote adopting Jaquan Jackson as the
Yes.
bubble player he is most invested in as camp kicks off. Jared Stillman wants to get in on this.
Okay.
He is adopting Bryce Oliver.
Another receiver.
He is adopting Bryce Oliver. I think Bryce Oliver will be a
That's a
preseason
good
darling.
pick.
So Jared is quote unquote adopting Bryce Oliver. I also am adopting a pass catcher, but not a primary pass catcher. I am adopting, quote unquote, tight end David Martin Robinson. I am adopting David Martin Robinson. He was the Titans' best pass catcher in the preseason last season. 9 catches, 113 yards over 3 preseason games last year. However, he did not play in the regular season until week 14. If I recall correctly, the Titans kept 5 tight ends
Yes.
on the roster, which was a curious decision. So David Martin Robinson barely got any playing time. He did not make his NFL debut until week 14. But I'm not confident that Chig Okonkwo is going to lock down tight end 1 all season long. That isn't to say that I think David Martin Robinson is going to be tight end 1. There's also Gunnar Helm. David Martin Robinson.
Wiley.
I think David Martin Robinson is going to take a roster spot from Josh Wiley. I would not. I would not be shocked if Josh Wiley fails to make the cut. So David Martin Robinson, to me, he's probably tight end 3 behind Chig Okonkwo and Gunnar Helm. But I'm hopeful that David Martin Robinson can get more playing time throughout the course of the season. I liked what I saw from him in the preseason. So I am, quote unquote, adopting David Martin Robinson. He will be the bubble player I am most invested in as camp kicks off. David James, who are you, quote unquote, adopting in our Adopt a Titan drive?
So I'm also going with a pass catcher, but I'm going with the other tight end, Gunnar Helm. I think he's going to be one of those guys who's going to be a media darling. He's going to be someone that everyone's going to like. He seems like he seems like a good guy, you know, and I think he's going to be one of those guys who's going to be good quotes. He's going to be really fun to interact with as a media person. And I don't know. I just liked him. I don't want to go. I thought about going with Xavier Restrepo, but I was like, that's too easy. That's too easy.
But that's okay.
I mean, that would have been.
No,
it wouldn't have been a bad.
No, it wouldn't have.
It would have been. People would have looked at it and said, "Okay."
Xavier Restrepo. If we're going to use the adoption metaphor here, Xavier Restrepo is if you go to a humane association and they're adopting dogs. Restrepo is the one that's standing right up on the gate, tail wagging, pushing all of the other puppies aside. He's the one that wants the most attention. He's the one that's going to grab the most attention because of his relationship with Cam Ward. So Restrepo, I know that's probably the easy selection. I think a lot of people would choose to, again, quote unquote, adopt Xavier Restrepo in this. So Derek, you pick Jaquan Jackson.
Yes.
David, you pick Gunnar Helm. Jared picks Bryce Oliver. I pick David Martin Robinson. Who else did we leave off? Who else should we include in this conversation?
I mean, we can always go Mason Kinsey because it seems like Mason Kinsey just pops up no matter what. Here's another name.
Mason Kinsey is the dog who doesn't get adopted, but he's always there. And the people who work at the adoption agency,
they keep him at the front.
They love this dog.
They keep him at the front.
Right. They love this dog.
They're sad when he does get adopted. Exactly. They're like, oh, make sure to take care of him really well.
Right. So
but
that's Mason Kinsey.
Here's what's interesting, because I'm going to throw another name in here. Each one of these guys have been a pass catcher of some sort, whether it's been tight end or receiver. That may show not necessarily the talent in the room, but it shows how closely contested the room is. Now, whether they are A1 talent or not, time will tell. But this room they're so closely contested that anyone really outside of Calvin Ridley, you can kind of, depending on what they're doing and how they're doing it, you can kind of slide him in. But the guy that we miss and we haven't talked about is Colton Dow.
Okay.
He's another guy that I think, because he was hurt last year, He played a little special teams, I think, during the preseason. Big guy, got some speed to him. They liked him. They drafted, I think it was 6th, 7th round, somewhere around there.
It was near the end of the draft.
Yeah, end of the draft. And he was one of those guys that they were looking at to grab a roster spot last year. And ultimately he did, but I think he go on IR or he got hurt or something happened with him.
It was a knee injury, if I recall correctly.
So he got put on IR early in the season, I believe. So he's another guy that we don't know exactly who he is or what he is, but we know they liked him enough that they drafted him. And because this wide receiver room isn't truly rich at top end talent, they got some talented receivers, some young receivers that can make a name for themselves. Io Manor, DK, Jaquan Jackson, guys like that. But they don't have, the top end, top 3 receivers in the National Football League. I think Vance Jefferson is going to be really good for this offense. How that works out is yet to be seen. But you look at guys like Colton Dow, Bryce Oliver, Jaquan Jackson, even Xavier Restrepo. They all got a chance because this wide receiver room isn't deep at proven talent. Let me say that.
615-737-1025. Which Titans bubble player are you most invested in as camp kicks off? You can, quote unquote, adopt them. Derek has adopted Jaquan Jackson. I have adopted David Martin Robinson. David has adopted Gunnar Helm. Jared has adopted Bryce Oliver. Who are you, again, quote unquote, adopting? Which Titans bubble player are you most invested in as camp kicks off? 615-737-1025. Mike Borgonzi, Chad Brinker will address reporters in roughly 20 minutes. We will preview that news conference and what we want to hear from them in that news conference coming up next. 615-737-1025. This September, Tim McGraw will be performing at Tritix's Rock the Cradle in Nashville, a meaningful event supporting newborns and moms at Ascension St. Thomas Midtown. Get your tickets now at rockthecradlenashville.org.
Hey, happy Tuesday, everyone. This is Derek Mason. You heard me tell you about Dr. Lodge and his staff over at Cool Springs MD for some time. If you set out to lose weight, chances are it's not your first time setting a goal to shed some extra pounds only to face disappointment. But let me tell you something, because at Cool Springs MD, Dr. Lodge and his team understands the frustration of this cycle, and that is why they offer a different approach to weight loss. They got all the answers because their comprehensive weight loss program is led by Dr. Jeffrey Lodge and addresses the root cause of weight gain with tailored nutrition, exercise, blood test supplements, and more. They will customize a program specific to you and you only. That's why they do tailored nutrition, because it's for you, and exercise, everything. So connect with Dr. Lodge at CoolSpringsMD.com today to schedule your appointment for a personalized weight loss plan just for you. Cool Springs MD, where your weight loss journey becomes a success story.
Titans training camp gets started tomorrow. Tune in for player interviews and the latest updates on the Titans as the team preps for the 2025-2026 season. Coverage of Titans training camp is presented by Macero and 12 South and Parman Energy Group. Derek Mason, Adam Ving, and David James here with you. Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi scheduled to address reporters in roughly 15 minutes. We will bring that to you live. Before we get to our next topic, Derek, some texters want to adopt some Titans of their own.
Okay.
Josh on our text line says he would pick T'Vondre Sweat, but that would be too much puppy chow to buy, which is true. But T'Vondre Sweat wouldn't qualify for this
No.
exercise because his place on the roster is safe. He's
Secure.
going to make the team. Alex from Montreal says, I don't know if he's a bubble player, but I am going with James Williams. Eager to see his evolution. I would say absolutely James Williams. He's in a battle for the inside linebacker spot next to Cody Barton. So I would absolutely say James Williams is qualified for adoption in our case.
Anybody that is not competing for a starting job, those guys are bubble guys because, if you're just competing for that second job, then your job is always in limbo. You see what I'm saying? It's unless you're competing for that job, like that starter, you're pushing that starter. Because if I'm competing with him, they think I'm good enough to be on the roster, but they want to see if I've developed to be good enough to be a starter now. So when that happens, you're not a bubble guy. But when you're competing to be the between a 2 and a 3, I think that's when you become a bubble guy.
So James Williams, Alex, absolutely qualifies
Yes.
as a player up for quote-unquote adoption. TD from Nashville, not Teron Davenport, says, thank you, Mace, for mentioning Colton Dow. I think he will do well. See what I did there?
Yeah.
He has special teams game time as well. What it takes to make it when you're on the bubble, don't count him out. So TD in Nashville, thanks you for mentioning Colton Dow.
Yeah, because that's an interesting one, man. He fits the bill as far as makeup. He's 6'3", 220, a little bit less, maybe 210. That's not a little, that's a lot. But he was their 7th round pick. He sort of showed a little flashes here and there. He got put on IR very early, I believe. I think he only caught 1 pass during the regular season. And then actually was in the middle of the season where he got put on IR because he played 10 games. So he missed, 7? And some of it had to do with injury. So it'll be interesting to see how he comes back and how he fits in the receiving room. And Willie said it last week, like if you're a receiver, the week before that, before I went on vacation, he said, if you're a receiver, it's like, take me. I want to go to the Titans. Why? Because there's outside of Calvin Ridley, really, there's no slot, sitting there with somebody's name on it. That spot has a question mark. 2, 3, 4, 5 have a question mark. All of those spots have a question mark, and even 6. So when there's a question mark, if I'm any receiver out there, I want to come to the Titans and compete for a spot.
Adam in Portland says that Jared has a better shot to make the 53 than Colton Dow. Adam, don't give Jared any ideas.
Yes, please don't. And again, I need to understand why would he say that? He has, because again, if we're dealing with the receiver room that, had, 5 guys legitimately, and again, they may end up having 5 guys legitimately.
Let's start here. How many locks are there at wide receiver? Ridley, Lockett, Jefferson, Iomanner, and Deacon.
No,
I
wouldn't even say they're locks.
The 2 rookie receivers in the 4th round?
I am not going to say they're locks. I know this league.
Okay. You do know this league.
I'm not going to say they are locked. Now, they're more so on the, on the other side of the bubble.
So how many of them would you say are locks? Ridley for sure, Lockett, and Jefferson?
That's it.
That would be the 3 locks.
That would be the guys. And I'm even yes, those would be the 3 guys that I think are a lock.
So you would have DK and Iomanner in the next group. They'll probably make the team, but you're not going to say a 100% certainty.
Absolutely. Because one of them, I'm not going to say both, because one of them could end on a practice squad.
That's true.
So they're in that second tier, and they may be the only guys that are in that second tier.
So the remainder, you have Jaquan Jackson,
Mhm.
Colton Dowell,
Yeah.
Xavier Restrepo, Bryce Oliver, Mason Kinsey, right?
Traylon Burks.
Traylon Burke. So that's 6 receivers for
Yes.
what? 2 spots, maybe?
James Porsche.
James Porsche. So that's what? 7 receivers?
Yes.
For what? 2 spots, maybe?
For yeah, really 2 more spots outside of the 3, and then DK and Io Manor, let's put them on the other side of the bubble, but not quite, more than likely to make the team.
If we are looking at this from a bubble watch on ESPN before the NCAA
more than likely
tournament,
to make it.
you have Ridley, Lockett, and Jefferson as
In.
locks.
They're in.
You have Io Manor and DK as should be in.
Uh-huh.
And the rest are toss-ups.
And the rest are bubbles.
Yes. Toss-ups, bubbles, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call it.
The rest of my bubbles. And that's how I see it. So there are guys that are really, depending on how many receivers they keep, there's only 2 spots. 2 spots that are sort of vacant right now. And 4, an extra 2 that maybe, but more than likely, they are allocated to Io Manor and DK. This is why I say, well, why do you say Colton Dow we shouldn't mention him? Again, you got 4 spots. You got 2 that are up, another 2 that are maybe, and then the other 3, okay, they got their spots, unless they just, come into camp and they just don't show anything. And I'm talking about really Jefferson and Lockett, and I don't think that will be the case.
So Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker will hold their pre-training camp news conference in roughly 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
There are going to be a lot of questions about Will Levis. I am incredibly curious to hear how the 2 of them answer those questions, because we saw the statement from the team yesterday, how they support Will Levis's decision. I will be curious to see the tone in which they answer those questions. I agree with Teron Davenport, who we had on yesterday, about I want to hear about the expectations for the season, specifically with Cam Ward, because the news yesterday of Will Levis being out for the season after, well, he has yet to undergo the season-ending surgery. He will, I believe, a week from today. That news ended any charade of a quarterback competition here in Nashville. This was always going to be Cam Ward's team. But there is no more, again, charade that Cam Ward is going to be competing for the number 1 spot. It's his. So I am curious how they will answer questions about their expectations for Cam Ward. And will they stick with him through thick and thin if things go up and down this season? Derek, what are you most interested in hearing from Borgonzi and Brinker in roughly 10 minutes?
I want to see. I wish we could be there, because it goes right along with what you were talking about, because it's the most recent thing. And I think it was sort of a blind side to the Titans. I don't think the Titans probably expected that this was going to happen. They didn't give any indication that they knew this was coming up, because I'm sure had they would have probably said something a little bit earlier about this. I want to see I would love to see the facial expression in the body sort of.
Well, we will have access to the live stream.
So we'll watch the live
so
stream.
You'll
too.
be able to
Yes,
see that.
exactly. So when that question is asked, because I do believe, whereas I think Will did what was best for his career, and I'm not going to sit here and ridicule him for that, because I saw the toughness that he played with during the season, trying to come back. It's a different situation, a different time right now, and he's in a sort of dilemma, in a sense. Do I try to play in this potentially hurt it worse, or should I go ahead and get the surgery and be ready for free agency? Because that's all this is about: free agency, trade bait, making sure he's healthy, at least on Will Levis's side. So, but I think it blindsided the Titans, and I think they are a little bit perturbed, to say the least. I think they may be a little bit, a little salty, a little sour taste in their mouth. they're gonna try to put a. It's like when you eat one of those sour patches and you try to hold it so your friend won't know it got you, and you still try to look at him like, I got you, I'm gonna outlast you. That's gonna be the Titans. You may see a crack here and there when they're answering the questions, but I think for the most part they're gonna do a good job at holding that sour taste in.
So what you're saying is we need to give Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi a warhead.
Yes,
Remember those candies?
exactly, absolutely, or the lemon heads. Yes,
But we will find out with all of you in just a matter of moments. Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi will address reporters ahead of training camp. We will carry that for you live. 615-737-1025. Speaking of us at 1025 The Game and Souls for Souls have teamed up for a back-to-school fundraiser, Souls for the 615, to provide new shoes for kids experiencing homelessness in Nashville. Help a child in Middle Tennessee step into the new school year with confidence by donating $20 for a new pair of athletic shoes. For more information and to donate, visit thegamenashville.com/shoes. Souls for the 615 is sponsored by Macero and 12 South. Go check them out for handcrafted cocktails, bold plates, great happy hour, and elevated hospitality. D. Mace Ving, Ginadonic 1025, The Game, Chad Brinker, Mike Borgonzi, about to address reporters. We take you there now live.
Just helping this football team grow. And, you know, Mike worked with our nutrition staff and strength coaches and sports scientists and, you know, even challenged these players a little bit from a body composition standpoint. And these guys came in shape. Some guys changed their body comps. They look great. They're ready to go. I know I saw a lot of guys coming in and out of this building throughout the summer even. So they're excited to be here, and we are too. And we look forward to what's ahead of us. Obviously, we got a lot of work to do as a football team over the next 5 weeks. Is going to be really, really important to us. And it will continue not up to the first game of the season in Denver, but even really the first 4 games of the season, you know, really finding out what kind of football team we do have. And that's always exciting for us as personnel men to really see what we got. And we're just excited about it. So appreciate everybody being here.
I just want to echo a lot of stuff that Chad said, the excitement that we have here coming into camp. I thought we did some really good things in the spring, and it's going to be really good to build upon that, and it's going to be important. You know, our work is never done, though. You know, we're always going to be looking to improve this roster wherever we can. You know, I think we added some good players in the offseason here to help the competition here on the roster, whether that's in free agency or the draft. I think it's a good mix of vets and young guys right now. And you could see in the spring too, these vets are pulling around along these young guys and really helping them out. So it's a good thing to see in terms of the team building aspect. So, you know, we're looking forward to, you know, training camp here and really to make improvements every day. And that's what we're trying to do. Just a few roster updates. Lloyd Cushenberry will start on PUP. He's making good progress right now. He's just not there yet. I would say he's week to week right now. Same thing with LJ Jarius. He's going to start out on PUP. LJ's been working really hard here in the offseason to get back, and he's week to week as well right now. Will Levis, we put out a statement on him yesterday that he will have shoulder surgery and be out for the remainder of the season. And the other one is Lorenzo Carter, who notified us yesterday that he will be retiring. So we wish him well. So with that, I'll open it up.
Mike, following up on Will Levis, how much of a surprise, not a surprise, was that decision from Levis, and what were kind of those conversations like with him?
You know, out of respect to Will, you know, we have had conversations. He's been very transparent with us. We knew there was a possibility that he could have this surgery. But just out of respect with Will, to him, I'd like to keep those medical conversations private. But we were aware of it, though.
Can you explain the timeline? How does the timing fit for him, fit for you?
Yeah, you know, we knew after the season, you know, rest and rehab was the recommendation from our staff and from the second opinion staff that he sought information on. And there was an option that, you know, they recommended that he push through the offseason, which he did, had a really good offseason. And if he felt discomfort, that he would proceed with the surgery. And that's what he did.
With Lorenzo retiring, how much pressure do you feel, or how much do you need to find another person on the?
Yeah, we feel good with the room right now. I mean, obviously, we had Draymond. You know, we drafted Femi Ardens here. You know, there's a chance we could add somebody here at some point.
I guess both of you like what you've seen from Cam through the course of the offseason. What do you hope to see from him here as camp begins?
Yeah, just growth. I think, you know, Coach has mentioned in the spring he's really happy with the progression that he's had. And it's just really to continue to grow the playbook, the rapport with the receivers, you know, reading coverages, all that stuff that goes into, you know, playing in this league at the quarterback position. So, you know, we feel really good about the progress that he's made and you know, where he's headed.
Mike, do you feel like Will felt that he had, I guess, a legitimate shot at winning the starting job? And is there any chance that played a role in his deciding to go through the surgery?
You'd have to ask Will. There was competition. That's what we stated from the beginning. That's what we're preaching is competition, and nothing's really going to change with that.
You mentioned some
situation. You know, this was initially a quad bruise, and he's now been out for, you know, all of last year and now lingering into this year. Why has that been so troublesome?
I mean, he did have a cleanup on his knee in May, which set him back a little bit, but he's he's making, progress here. He's really worked hard. He's been here during the summer. So, he's heading in the right direction. And like I said, we'll hopefully get him back here soon.
Guys come back from cleanups in May to be ready for the start of camp pretty regularly, if I'm not mistaken. You saw the other side of the knee in Kansas City where the Chiefs gave up on him. I mean, what's the level of concern with him being able to be a contributor for this team come September, plus with the legal issues hanging over him? How good can you reasonably feel about him at this stage?
Listen, I've keep in contact with LJ all the time. He's worked really hard to get back, and I feel really confident that he's going to be back.
Can you kind of take us into what that working hard looks like? What are you seeing from him? What are the details you can give?
Well, he's continued to be here to rehab. He's been here in the summer, which he didn't have to be. But he's continued to do that, to rehab and to really work. And I've been in constant communication with him. So, we feel good that he's going to be back here at some point.
Is the hamstring over? I mean, is the quad over with now? Is it all knee?
Yes, right now he's working his way back from the knee procedure.
You mentioned names, but Traylon Burks wasn't one of them. I'm assuming he's good to go for everything, or what is his status?
He is, yeah. He started to take some reps in OTAs, and he's done a tremendous job really getting himself back into shape here. Really proud of him, and look forward to seeing him compete here in camp.
You're new to him, so you're just not seeing, like, what are some of the pros and cons that you've seen just in the limited interaction you've had?
No, that he works really hard. I know he's a talented kid. He's just had some setbacks in his career so far. But he's been out there working, and I've saw the shape that he came back in here today, which means, something that, it's important to him. So I look forward to seeing more of him in person here at camp.
Chad, did you guys hear from the NFL in terms of Snead's legal incident? That if they're looking into that aspect of it?
Yeah, we're not going to comment on that. I mean, obviously people are looking into that, and there's nothing really we can shed light on at this point.
Chad,
How do you feel about Lloyd in terms of not only him getting back and working in with the new pieces and the things that have been rearranged on the offensive line, but also kind of developing a rapport with Cam in terms of the cadence, the snap, and all those sorts of things?
Who you asking about? I didn't hear.
Kush. Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. And like I said, hopefully he's going to be back here soon. He's week to week, and he's making really good progress. So it's going to be important, though, for sure.
Chad, how do you feel about corner depth if and when L'Jarius isn't there?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of work to do at a lot of positions, not just corner. I think this camp you're gonna see. We'll continue to evaluate this every single day. We're going to look at other opportunities to upgrade the roster when we can, and if we're able to do that, we will. But we got some work to do, not just at corner, but other positions as far as depth is concerned. But I do feel good about the guys we do have here. And like I said earlier, I thought the team looked really good this morning, and just the way they worked this offseason, as well as just the way they changed their body comps. And I think they're ready to go.
Chad, you talked a lot about patience that's coming in. How much is this offseason fit your vision at that time, and what are reasonable expectations for this team?
Yeah, nobody wants to hear that word, patience. I get that, but the reality is we understand where we are as a roster. We got a lot of work to do, and we're going to be relying on a lot of young players this season to carry this football team. And we need those veteran players as well to help those young players grow. So there will be some challenges, but I do want to see our football team improve from day to day to week, to where by the end of the season, we'll see what we look like, and hopefully we're healthy. This is a game; it's a war of attrition. So you got to be healthy, and there's just a lot of work to do. So it's hard to really define. If you're asking me what does success look like in 2025. I think that's for you guys to write about. I just want to see this team get better, and we'll go through another, season this year, an acquisition. Where we got the first waiver claim. We're going to constantly be looking to upgrade this roster. If guys aren't getting the job done, then we'll get guys in here that will. So the top of the roster is just as important as the bottom.
What are the things that you see that make you think we have gotten better? that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, I think that the off-season program, I was really impressed with what Brian did and how competitive it was within the rules, and just seeing the growth in some of the players and how certain players really have bought in, or really not just bought in. Use a phrase that Mike uses a lot, is that they believe in what we're doing, which is really important. And I'm just I'm excited about what we have going on right now, knowing where we are as a football program. But there's, I get it. There's not a lot of star power on this roster right now. I do think there are some stars that will come through at some point. We're excited about the draft class. Obviously, you got Cam Ward, and he's got a lot of work to do and a long road ahead of him too. But I mean, I think you all have seen the talent. It's pretty impressive. And you asked the question earlier about him. And, just the way he's gaining the respect of his teammates is something that I've seen from the peripheral of. It's been impressive. But we also know this is a performance-based business, so he's got to go out and perform, and he knows that. And when he does, it's just going to elevate the entire program. So there's just a lot of improvement that we got to make all across the board.
Mike, is the expectation to go through camp with these 3 quarterbacks, or do you feel the need to add a 4th at some point?
We feel good right now about the quarterback room. Like every position, though, we're going to continue to evaluate it. So, but right now, we don't see adding anybody right now.
You guys consider wide receiver room beyond Calvin, who's probably your most proven commodity?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of new pieces in there, right? There's some veterans, a good mix right now of vets and young guys, some unproven guys. But I think it's really good. You saw during the spring some of those, especially guys like Rid, who I've never really been around. I always knew he was a really good player, but the way that he takes his time out to teach these young guys is really important. And they look up to him and the way he works. So, I'm excited to see how it plays out. I think we have some talent in that room. Like I said, there's some veterans, there's some young, unproven talent. So, we're excited to see how this is going to unfold.
Where does the confidence in Allen and Boyle come from, considering how poorly they've played when they've had the opportunity to be on the field in actual regular season games?
They have game reps, they have starter reps. I think Brandon, obviously was with Brian in Cincinnati, has a really good understanding of the offense. And listen, he had a really good offseason here too. I was impressed with him. I've watched Brandon over the years, and every time he comes out there, he competes hard. We're going to continue to evaluate that position, like every position in training camp. So,
with the patience and looking for constant improvement, how does that apply to Brian Callahan? What are some of the things that you're looking for to say, okay, he's gotten better from then until now?
Yeah. Do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, you can see it in the spring, the way he interacts with the players, the way that he communicates with them, and you could see them develop over the spring. And, I think he's got a really good control of the team. I've been impressed with that. Like I said, it's going to be an evaluation process here as we go through training camp, as we get into the season, and how he develops these players and how the coaching staff does. And so far, they've done a tremendous job.
And I'll just add there, TD, I want Mike to speak on it because, this is the first time he's had the opportunity to work with Brian. And I think he's been really impressed with Brian and just how smart he is. And he's a good football coach. And I know personally, I've seen him grow from year 1 to year 2, like anybody would, whether it's a new GM or a new head coach or any position in your organization. There's a confidence there that I've been impressed with, and the way he's communicated with the players, with his staff, with everybody in the building. I've seen tremendous growth in Brian. We believe in Brian. I think he's done a really good job heading this offseason. But obviously, as we head into the season, we got to get these players' development. It's a big part of our program. We've been preaching draft and develop, and that's not going away. We need to have coaches who are just the best teachers that we can possibly find that can help these players, reach their potential. So by year 3, of a rookie deal, we know what we're dealing with. Is this a guy that we can really build a future around, or do we have to replace it, with another younger player or somebody else? So the development piece of this is essential. And I've been really impressed with Brian from the coaching, development, and just the whole understanding the big picture of how to run a football team.
How about Kevin Winston Jr. and the progress he's made here in the last month or so?
Yeah, Kevin's worked really hard here in the offseason, and he's ready to hit the ground running. He's in great shape right now. He's been here like the whole summer, watching film in the building and working out, and so we're really excited to see him.
I guess he's 100% then.
He is right now.
DK and Io Manor specifically, you like what you've seen from them during the course of this offseason? Are there a couple of guys you could count on early this season if all goes well?
Yes, I think they've made tremendous improvements since they've been here. The big thing is with both of those guys is they work really hard and they study really hard. And part of getting on the field early is knowing what you're doing. And they've done a tremendous job through the off season of picking up the playbook, and I think they're ready to hit the ground running here in training camp.
Going back to Lorenzo Carter, when did he tell you guys that he was going to retire, and were you all surprised by that?
He notified me yesterday.
Was that a surprise to you?
Yes.
Chad, I know you touched on the conditioning earlier, and I know 3 guys at least, with Simmons and Latham and Sweat, have talked about their weight loss. How much of a priority was that, at the end of last season, whether I guess it's improving conditioning or taking a different approach? Was that a significant emphasis?
Yeah, it was. And maybe Mike can even speak on his experiences a little bit when it comes to this lean body mass and the importance of that. But I think all 3 of those guys, Jeff's always in shape. Jeff really takes care of himself, and he looks great every time you see that guy. I think JC really, he took it upon himself. He came in after the season and knew he had to improve big time, especially being the type of player that we believe he can be in this league. And he did more than what we even asked of him. Wait till you see him here tomorrow. He looks great. He's in great shape. So all those guys have done the things that we've asked them to do that in order to, when you're carrying around the weight, it makes it tougher on your joints and your body, and the injuries tend to increase. This is not like foolproof or anything, but you're just playing your odds and reducing your risk when you take care of yourself the right way.
Chad, you said earlier,
It's the body comp analysis, really. For years, I think everyone just looked at body weight and body fat percentage. Now we're able to, look at lean body mass, how much fat mass you have on. So it's a better way, an indicator to where they need to get to. Not just saying I want this player to gain 10 pounds. Well, it needs to be 10 pounds of good weight. So we're able to to read those, to read that analysis and try to help these players along to try to get them to their ideal playing weight.
Chad, you said earlier you were excited to see the team you have over the coming weeks. What are the characteristics you hope to see in the next few weeks? And for Mike, this is your first time stepping on the field tomorrow in a training camp as the GM.
No.
What do you hope to see from the team you built?
We talk about this a lot: smart, tough, dependable. We got a lot of work to do. That was the emphasis of the off-season program is, don't beat yourself. We did that a lot last year. We got to eliminate the pre-snap penalties, and it just seemed like every time we had an explosive play last year, it was being, called back for some mistake that someone made. And, you get what you emphasize in this league, and the offseason program was really about improving in those areas. But, we just, Mike and I talk about this a lot. We want a big, fast, physical football team. And obviously you want to be smart and tough and dependable as well. But that's what we're looking for. This is a tough game to play, and we're trying to find those guys who can show up not only every day, during practice and perform, but especially on game day, you got to be able to come up, step up and play, make plays for the team.
Are you open to having any extension conversations with a Roger, an Amani, or a Chick?
Yeah, that's always, we keep the phone lines open, and there's no timeline on those things. We don't shut things down. I know some organizations may say if we don't get a deal done by this date, then we shut it down. I never operated that way. I think those conversations will be between us and the agent, and depending on the situation, we're always having the open lines of communication.
Anything yet?
Nothing yet.
We have time for a couple more, guys. When it comes to the process that you guys will have next month with cuts and personnel changes and roster stuff, just can you kind of talk us through what you expect those to look like with you two and Brian, and who else might be involved when it comes to that?
Yeah, I mean, everywhere we've been, it's it's not one person's decision. I think it's really important. I emphasized this in the meeting the other day with the coaches, is the communication. I want it daily, not just in meetings. I want it on the field, in the building, we're passing. It's really important that we obviously get this right here at the end. So communication will be vital between the coaching staff and personnel staff.
Yeah, as I walk around the building, I have touch points that in the morning I'm an early riser and I like to work out early, and I'll come in and see Mike first thing, head coach. There's at least 3 touch points a day, which it ends up being way more than that. But I make sure at least we talk in the morning about the day ahead. We talk on the practice field, and then late at night, one more time, just making sure that we're always communicating. But when it comes down to the cut down process, I mean, we're all going to be in the room. We're working on this together. We're evaluating them. I'm evaluating the tape the same as Mike is. We're having conversations daily. So I don't see this being any issue at all. We're going to work together, put this roster together. But ultimately, like I said before, Mike's building this roster and the coach is coaching the roster, but we all got to work together to make this thing work.
Chad, Brian was pretty open this spring about how different the offseason program looked from his perspective from a year ago. Have you had any conversations with him about training camp and maybe some changes you and he would like to see going into this year's training camp?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that. I think, I've had some experiences where I was with a head coach and Mike McCarthy where we didn't go out on the road and have joint practices. And then Matt LaFleur came in and introduced the joint practices. That was my first introduction to that. So that's something a little newer, I guess, for me. I know for Mike especially too. That's new for him coming from Andy Reid system. So we did talk about the schedule. I think Brian has he does a good job as far as how to schedule the practices where we have a jog through period the day after a day off, and you have 2 days of really hard practices, then a day off. And just the way he blocks it, like a periodization when it comes to like strength and conditioning, he does a similar concept about that to keep these players fresh. But we are going to go on the road this year for as you know, for these 2 preseason games. And I think you maybe ask Brian about that when you get a chance to talk to him and his thought process around that. And part of that is just today's football. You don't have the old school training camp like you used to. And this is one way we can kind of create that and go on the road and be together. You have nowhere to go. And, connected team is a team that wins together. And we want our players to spend a lot of time together, get to know each other, and also go out and just hit a different colored jersey throughout the week, and have coaches like our DC as well as our OC or Brian be able to call plays against somebody else versus you're doing it the whole off season with your own staff. So I think there's a lot of benefits in that. And from a scouting perspective, we love it too. You get to evaluate a lot of players.
One more on Levis, please. You guys are quick to hold people out when they've got a nagging injury or anything going on at that time of year. Was he full go for you during minicamp and OTA?
Yes, he was full go.
Last 3 questions right here, guys.
Simple question. The team you put on the field tomorrow, can that team win the Super Bowl?
Listen, that's always the goal every year.
Yeah.
We also realize we have a lot of work to do on this roster.
Last 2, go ahead.
With the Titans defense last year, you guys were at or near the bottom in every pass rush metric and everything, not enough sacks. You guys just lost Lorenzo Carter. Why are you guys so comfortable with this pass rushing room? What have you guys seen from these pass rushers that make you think you're going to increase all those stats?
When you get comfortable at any position, you get yourself in trouble. So I think there's a sense of urgency for every position group to improve. Listen, we made some additions with Draymond. Femi's a young kid in there right now. Arden's had a lot of experience. It's not just the outside pressure; it's the big guys inside too. And we have 2 pretty big guys in there that can push the pocket and create some pressure in there in other ways too. So, there's going to be urgency to improve every part of this roster, though.
Last one.
Yeah, you guys think Cam Ward will show up at 5 a.m. tomorrow?
Sure, he will.
Yeah.
He's been consistent. He works hard, and I think that's why the locker room really respects him, just the way he goes about his work. There's times he beats coaches into the building. There's been times where I come in pretty early and I see him coming in too. So he's been impressive. I imagine he will be.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi addressing reporters on the eve of the first day of practice at Titans training camp. A lot to get to there. You let us know where we should start. 615-737-1025. Will Levis, L'Jarius Sneed, edge rusher. You tell us where we should start. 615-737-1025. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025-1063. The Game. The Mace Vingan and Donick 102.5, 106.3 The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. And we are presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. All right. We just heard from Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi on the day that the Titans report to training camp. First practice is tomorrow morning. A lot to digest in that news conference. And I asked all of you at 615-737-1025 where we should start. So let's go to Sam on our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. How tanked is that pass rush group now that Carter is out? Do you think it's crazy? They said they are happy with the room as is. So one of the news items off the top is that veteran edge rusher Lorenzo Carter informed the Titans of his plans to retire, which caught Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker by surprise. So, Derek, offhand, here are the other edge rushers on the roster now that Lorenzo Carter is retired. Arden Key, Draymond Jones, Femi Oladejo, Jalen Harrell, Ali Gay, Titus Leo, and Desmond Evans. Two of those players, I'm not sure, are actual people. Titus Leo sounds like a WWE superstar. And then there's Desmond Evans. So Arden Key, Draymond Jones, Femi Oladejo, Jalen Harrell, Ali Gay, Titus Leo, and Desmond Evans are the edge rushers currently on the roster now that Lorenzo Carter has retired. So to paraphrase Sam here, how porked are the Tennessee Titans at edge rusher now that Lorenzo Carter has retired?
Man, outside of Arden Key, and now that Lorenzo Carter has officially retired, they don't have many sacks on that side of the ball from the outside. Now they hope to have promise, with their second round draft pick now today.
Femi Oladejo.
Femiola.
And there's Draymond Jones as well.
Draymond Jones. Jalen Harrell, I don't know how he fits in this. So they have a high mountain to climb from this respect. They have no one, and I repeat, no one. Now it can change. So I don't want to sit here and diss these guys. But they have no one, and I repeat, no one on the outside that has shown consistency at getting to the quarterback. No one. Completely. This is a complete question mark. And usually you have question marks like, maybe a guy's coming off an injury, or he's a rookie, or, maybe it's the second position that, the backup, there's a question, or, whatnot. But the question is the position, period. It's not who's going to be the starter, who's going to be the backup, how many they're going to keep. The question is the position. They have no sacks. Outside of Harold, outside of Arden Key, there's not many sacks there. So a team with a defensive coordinator that wants to pride himself on bringing pressure, getting to the quarterback, disrupting the timing of the outside guys. He can't do it. It's at least as we speak, because you have no one with any true experience outside of Arden Key.
Arden Key, by the way, had 6.5 sacks last season. Draymond Jones in Seattle had 4 sacks. So 6.5 from Key, 4 from Jones.
10.5 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
Amongst
Oladejo is a rookie.
Yeah, Oladejo is a rookie.
He doesn't have any.
Okay. Jalen Harrell, he played some last year.
Jalen Harrell had 0 sacks last season in 17 games. He appeared in 17 games, didn't start any.
They have 10 sacks. If you take
I'm going to
Lorenzo
assume
Carter,
the other
if you
players
take
don't
out
have any.
Lorenzo Carter, if you take him out, they have no more than 15 sacks. Let's just say that.
Ali Gay had 1 sack. My apologies to
there
Ali
you go.
Gay. He did have 1
There you
sack
go.
last
So
year.
that's 11. That's 11 sacks.
11.5 sacks.
11.5 sacks.
Between Arden Key, Draymond Jones, Femi Oladejo, Jalen Harrell, and Ali Gay.
Yeah,
11 and a half
that
sacks
that is
last
that
season.
is beyond disappointing. But here's the good news: you got an opportunity to change it. You got some guys that should be hungry. This is a position that there's no outside of Arden Key, and even Arden Key, if Femi shows anything, will he supersede Arden Key, or will they just throw him on the other side? You just never know. So the good part about it is, looking at the cup half full, is that they got guys that can prove themselves. They got some young guys, and that want, I believe, that want to contribute to this team on a every game, every down basis. So that will make, hopefully, for good competition. And competition does what? Iron sharpens iron. Each one gets sharper, and the position gets better. I'm hoping that's what happens.
615-737-1025. We will continue to take your reaction to Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi's news conference. Coming up next, I know that Jared is sitting by his computer right now, waiting to clip our next segment, waiting to get us on L'Jarius Sneed.
I'm about to get a text real quick.
I received a text as soon as the knee cleanup procedure left Mike Borgonzi's lips. I think it was Mike Borgonzi. I received a text message from Jared Stillman. Quote, "You owe me an apology." So let's talk about L'Jarius Sneed coming up next. 615-737-1025. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025-1063 The Game.
You mentioned
There's
some
a
names.
situation, you know, this was initially a quad bruise, and he's now been out for, you know, all of last year and now lingering into this year. Why has that been so troublesome?
I mean, he did have a cleanup on his knee in May, which set him back a little bit, but he's making, progress here. He's really worked hard. He's been here during the summer. So, he's heading in the right direction. And like I said, we'll hopefully get him back here soon.
Guys come back from cleanups in May to be ready for the start of camp pretty regularly, if I'm not mistaken. You saw the other side of the knee in Kansas City where the Chiefs gave up on him. I mean, what's the level of concern with him being able to be a contributor for this team come September, plus with the legal issues hanging over him? How good can you reasonably feel about him at this stage?
Listen, I've keep in contact with LJ all the time. He's worked really hard to get back, and I feel really confident that he's going to be back.
Can you kind of take us into what that working hard looks like? What are you seeing from him? What are the details you can give?
Well, he's continued to be here to rehab. He's been here in the summer, which he didn't have to be. But he's continued to do that, to rehab and to really work. And I've been in constant communication with him. So, we feel good that he's going to be back here at some point.
Is the hamstring over? I mean, is the quad over with now? Is it all knee?
Yes. Right now, he's working his way back from the knee procedure.
All righty then. That's all of the updates on L'Jarius Sneed's health.
Yes.
From the news conference. And I'm half expecting Jared Stillman today on his program to be flanked by a mission accomplished banner a la George W. Bush in 2003 when it comes to L'Jarius Sneed, because he has been skeptical of L'Jarius Sneed's knees from the very beginning, since L'Jarius Sneed came on this program in its previous form and said, Titans fans, you have nothing to worry about when it comes to L'Jarius Sneed's knees. He referred to himself in the third person, I vividly recall. So when we heard that live, I received a text message from one Jared Stillman who said that I owe him an apology because we, as a show, were skeptical of his skepticism about L'Jarius Sneed. So part of me just wants to insert random words during this segment so that Jared can't clip it and use it on his show. I also don't want to give him the satisfaction of an actual apology. So, Jared, this is probably the closest I will get. I am remorseful over an action that I may have participated in. That's what you got to work with, buddy. I am remorseful over an action that I may have participated in. But, Derek, I want your thoughts. So just to recap, L'Jarius Sneed will start the season on the physically unable to perform list. I'm sorry, start training camp on the physically unable to perform list. He is week to week, as well as Lloyd Cushenberry, who's also starting training camp on the PUP list. The quad injury is no longer a concern. L'Jarius Sneed had a cleanup procedure on his knee in May that is keeping him off the field to start training camp. That's the summary of what you just heard and what we heard earlier in the news conference. So, Derek, your reaction to everything we heard about L'Jarius Sneed's health.
His health, to me, this is what it boils down to. And I said it then, I said it in the middle, I'm going to say it now. Even with Borgonzi saying, yeah, he did have a cleanup. One, here we go again with the communication lines. The communication lines are not there. Here we go again. Just another example. He had that cleanup in May. We didn't hear anything about. Again, I didn't hear anything about it. Now, if there was a presser release on it or someone may have mentioned it in passing, okay. But I didn't know anything about a cleanup. So again, there's another mistake, just like there's another miscommunication, just like the not communicating about Treylon Burks, having, surgery until the end, and you kind of flippantly threw it out there as, oh yeah, and Treylon Burks had surgery. He was your former first-round draft pick. Why isn't that a big deal? Why you just flippantly throw it out on a Friday as you're going away? So that too, or on cleanup, what was it? Checkout day, you threw that out there. So, and there have been other things with L'Jarius Sneed where it seems to be a lack of communication, where he says he's in the best shape of his life, but then the Titans say he's going to start on PUP and he's going to be weak. And oh, by the way, they're just now telling us that they cleaned out his knee. Now, let's get to the knee part. I do truly believe that originally it was the quad. And I've said that you can go back to every clip there was about L'Jarius Sneed. I say I believe that it was initially the quad, and it was a severe quad bruise that ultimately it affected his knee. And he was rehabbing the quad. You got to get the quad strengthened first as you're rehabbing, trying to rehab the knee. But you got to get that quad strengthened. And it was bruised very badly. So he's working on the quad. The knee is messed up too. It had already been messed up. That's why he was on a pitch count, basically. So I don't think it initially was the knee. I think it was the quad. But because he already had a bad knee, what happens? It's going to affect the knee regardless. So yes, the knee is bothering him. But the initial injury, I still do believe, was the quad. But again, the Titans lack of communication. You're still on dial-up. Get out of dial-up. Give me that floppy disk or whatever that disk they were giving for AOL free. They would put them in the stand, the book stands. You would grab them. I would go to the bookstore all the time and get one. Turn it in and get you some high-speed network, okay? Because this communication breakdown is starting to get too familiar and too annoying.
Let's go to Clay on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Clay, thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Boys, how we doing today?
Doing good.
Adam, I want to, I kind of know D. Mace. I've talked to him man to man. Obviously, I know Willie. I've been accused, of calling in just to talk to Willie. But no offense, Adam, but just to kind of jerk your chain a little bit and get to know you. You're
Sure.
not quite as pretty as Caroline was.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, what am I supposed to say to that?
Anyway, D. Mace, my
Yes.
man, interesting. Y'all were just talking about Sneed. He was a really good player with the Chiefs before he came to the Titans. And the bottom line is, since he came, he just hadn't been able to stay healthy. And so now we're hearing what y'all are just talking about, that there's some other issue. And that's unfortunate. And maybe that's another reason why this team, struggled last year. But one thing I wanted to say to you, Derek, and again, this is man to man, what I think of you as a man. I had something else to say to you yesterday. I said that I was at Steve's funeral. And I told a friend of mine, and I were talking about this the other night, and I told a friend that he should pull the funeral and your eulogy up on YouTube. That's where you could probably find it, because I remember when you, Steve's kids that, he had with Michelle, and you saying to them that you couldn't love them like their father, but like their dad, that you could love them like a father. And that was just really powerful to me. And I respect you as a man, the player you were in the NFL. You're my guy. I got your jersey. So I just wanted to say that. You guys have a great day.
Thank you, Clay.
Thank you, Clay.
Clay hyping you up 2 days in a row.
Yeah, that's hey, listen, Clay, you never know when somebody needs a little pep up. So thank you, Clay.
So
I do appreciate
WB.
Uh-huh.
WB.
Dun dun. Yes.
Some good shows on WB.
Yeah, there were.
Sister.
Is WB still?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
Definitely not.
No.
I thought it was still going.
Look up the Dubba dance on YouTube.
Yes.
Very funny. Anyway, WB in Thompson Station says the caller is wrong. The Chiefs traded an injured player to the Titans, and they weren't able to figure it out. And you heard the question from Paul Kaharski to Mike Borgonzi, because Mike Borgonzi was on the other side. He was with the Kansas City Chiefs when the Chiefs traded Sneed to the Titans. So he would be acutely familiar with L'Jarius Sneed's knees. So that is the question that I think a lot of people have. Did Borgonzi, as a member of the Chiefs organization, and if I recall correctly, and if he's listening and I don't, please correct me, Paul, in reporting the trade of Snead, said that Borgonzi was the point person for the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe Borgonzi and Brinker worked together to facilitate that trade. So, the question a lot of Titans fans have is, did the Chiefs pull one over on the Titans by dumping an injured player on the organization?
If they did that, shame on Brinker, because it seems like they facilitated it. And now Borgonzi thought he was getting away from it, and now he has to deal with it again, if indeed that's the case. But listen, I am not going to sit here and say, because it's not like we didn't know his knee. He had issues with his knee prior to coming here. Everybody knew that. They disclosed it. It was out there. It was about managing the knee. He played all 17 games. They managed the knee well in practice, and he had no troubles in Kansas City with the knee because of how they ran their program. And it seems like L'Jarius Sneed was sort of on that way to continuing the program and continuing to be a good player on this team. And it just didn't, work. It's not like we thought he came in with a clean bill of health and the knee was 100%. We're not going to have any more problems with the knee. That's what the big argument was. You're getting a guy that has knee issues. Yes, he played 17 games, but he still had knee issues. It still was a flag on his medicals. So when you bring him here, when Paul asks the question and Brinker answers it, it's not like big news, because again, the knee was already hurt, or he was dealing with managing it. He takes a hit to the quad. It's a severely bruised quad from what the Titans told us. And no one in their right mind are not going to think, well, the quad affects the knee, and he already had a bad knee. So it's just going to either set him back on his rehab with his knee even further back, and it's going to be worse, or it's not. And it's the former. The quad affected the knee, and now the quad's not an issue anymore. And now you're dealing with the cleanup of a knee because of the quad.
615-737-1025. We will get back into your reaction to Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker's news conference. What stood out to you? We will get back to your reaction. And again, Jared, I know you're listening. This is as close to an apology as you will receive. I am remorseful.
I've ridiculed everyone on the roster. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
I'm not going to say it as forcefully as Conor McGregor. I am remorseful over an action that I may have participated in. 615-737-1025. Coming up next, Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFL analyst, will join us. We will discuss Titans training camp. I am curious about Tim's reaction to the Will Levis news. We will get into that and more with Tim Hasselbeck. Coming up next, 615-737-1025. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. D. Mace Vingan and Donick 1025, 1063 The Game. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan here with you, broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership where the buzz is always about great service. And we are presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Let's go to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend, our favorite dual threat quarterback, ESPN NFL analyst, head coach of the Ensworth Tigers, Tim Hasselbeck. Hello, Tim. How are you?
Doing great. How you guys doing?
We are doing well, thank you. So I am incredibly curious to get your reaction to the news from yesterday that Will Levis will undergo season-ending surgery. So what was your initial reaction upon hearing the news? And now that you've had about a day to digest it, where's your reaction now?
Yeah, I think my biggest reaction is, wow, this timing is, yeah, I don't know what the right word is, peculiar. The timing seems really unfortunate to everybody, right? And here's why I say that is, for Will Levis, look, he's a player that needs to improve, get better and improve. So to have surgery, in July means you're going to miss the whole season versus, a surgery that was done in January that maybe you could, salvage some of the 2025 season. So for Will Levis, it's not great. And then for the team, it's not great. So yeah, obviously Cam Ward would be the starter, but the idea that you have a guy that started games last year, a player that you thought enough of to draft him where you drafted him, and would be somebody that at least makes you feel good about having NFL experience and coming in to win a game or start a game and win a game. Now you don't have him, and you're finding that out in July as teams are reporting to training camp. So like that's not great either. So I think, it's kind of all around, it's bad timing.
The word that Willie, Derek, and I landed on yesterday, Tim, to describe Will Levis's decision was strategic. How do you think other NFL teams will view Levis after this decision? And do you think that Will Levis with a repaired shoulder will generate more interest around the league?
Well, see, like to me, and I don't know if you guys like, strategic means that like, hey, you guys did this to me, now I'm going to do this to you, kind of almost a retaliatory, hey, I'm going to have surgery now. And like I don't know if I'm a cynical person or not, but like, look, if you're a quarterback and you're having surgery at any time where they're going to go into your shoulder and cut things up and fix things, that type of stuff, like you better need the surgery. It better not be just purely elective. Do you know what I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
So
yes.
Like, I want to give Will Levis the benefit of the doubt on, look, if you're letting somebody cut your shoulder open and check it out, like you probably need surgery if you're a thrower by trade. Like I think that to be the case. So, so I don't know if it's strategic or, look, I thought this was going to get better. I thought I could do it. I can't. Like, I do need to have the surgery now. Like, I kind of feel like, I don't know. I don't want to put it on the, hey, he did this on purpose, with timing on purpose. And look, I say all that because I don't think that any quarterback is more attractive post-shoulder surgery. They're not, whether you're playing or not. You're not. Look, after neck surgery, Peyton Manning was less attractive to people. So I don't think this helps. I don't think this serves Will Levis in a positive way in any fashion.
I think, Tim, quickly, I think it does in a sense. I understand what you're saying about, listen, if it's strategic, then it needs to really be, you need to have surgery and get it done with. I think a lot of it has to do with, one, him saving face in a sense. And then two, it's about free agency next year. Cause I can't see under any circumstance, unless Cam Ward plays the season and he doesn't show any development whatsoever. But outside of that, he's not on this roster. So if in his mind, he believes, and his camp believes that, hey, listen, more than likely we will be on another roster. Let's make sure that we are fully healthy and not
Yeah.
try to rest this thing, because if we rest it, it hadn't gotten better up now, and we rested it 3 months for 3 or 4 months. What makes it, what tells us it's going to get better if we don't have surgery?
Yeah, no, you definitely could be saying like, hey, we're trying to be healthy for when we're competing for a job, maybe a year from now. That's a very valid and fair point.
I think that's where I was going with it, Tim, at the risk of sounding conspiratorial, that Mike Borgonzi and Chad Brinker just said at their news conference that Will Levis was a full participant in the offseason program. So perhaps Will Levis, after he left the offseason program, took stock of his situation, understanding that he wasn't really going to compete with Cam Ward. So perhaps by electing to have the surgery, he's removing himself from the situation, buys himself a year to perhaps put a better foot forward next year.
Yeah, but I think, but you don't have surgery unless you need it. And so I would say that. So like everything that you said is true. And I think that's true alongside, well, he probably does also need shoulder surgery. So, hey, go through and like, just don't compete for the job, be the backup. And your shoulder is probably going to need to be repaired at some point, by the way. Like, so I think in that regard, he probably is like, I need this to be done because it needs surgery. I would also just, I think, say this in terms of next year for him. While a surgery that no longer, or excuse me, a shoulder that no longer needs surgery is definitely better for him than a shoulder that needs surgery. But a quarterback coming off of shoulder surgery, in nobody's eyes, all 32 teams, is going to be more attractive than a guy that did not come off of shoulder surgery that played some this year. So I'm saying that to say that, and Will Levis knows that, and his representation knows that. So that's why I think like he obviously needs a cleanup of some sort in his shoulder, because he's not going to be more sought after. There's not going to be a better market for him taking a year off and having shoulder surgery.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. You can even go back many years. You can see with Drew Brees and why the Miami Dolphins, even though who was the coach at the time? I think Saban. Yeah, even though Saban, you wanted him bad, the Dolphins front office was scared of the shoulder. Now, Drew Brees went on to have a Hall of Fame career with the New Orleans Saints. But you're right, especially with a guy like Will Levis, who at that point, Drew Brees did some things with the Chargers. Will Levis hasn't done anything.
Look at Naheem Hines. Look at Naheem Hines,
exactly.
the returner. Like, he was a great player. Gets in a jet ski accident, misses a year. Like, he was one of the premier return men in the league. And then all of a sudden, he's misses a year of football, had the knee injury. Like, I think he just signed with the Chargers or somebody. But hey, we'll give you a shot. But it wasn't like there were a bunch of teams knocking down his door to sign him. So I think it's just, I think the market will be kind of a similar market for Will Levis a year from now.
We'll talk with Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFL analyst and head coach of the Innsworth Tigers, who are about to get their practice season going on pretty soon here, right?
Heat acclimation right now.
Okay.
94 degrees, but throwing that heat index.
Okay. You just prompted me to ask you a question. Heat acclimation. We didn't do that when we were little, Tim.
No,
they just threw us in the heat. Acclimate yourself as we're practicing. Come on, Tim. Heat acclimation.
Hey, listen. We got a kid like he's catching 3 baseball games today, but yeah, he's not allowed to come on the field with us because he hasn't heat acclimated. And I'm like, wait a second, that poor kid's playing baseball and Georgia heat right now with equipment on. Hey, listen, we're trying to keep them safe. So yeah, heat acclimation phase right now, D-Mate.
Well, that's a good one. Good for those kids. But getting back to the Titans, so Jerry Sneed, now he will start the season on PUP. Bergonzi Brinker said he will be week to week, as will Cushenberry. But with L'Jarius Sneed, it seems like there has been this lack of communication, because on one end you hear the player, which I get it. The player is going to try to put forth the best foot as far as his health. L'Jarius Sneed, when asked the question, earlier this summer, he said, "I'm healthy. I'm as healthy and ready to go as I've ever been." And then now you start camp on PUP, and you're scheduled to start the first game of the year, but we don't know when you're going to practice. It just seems to be a little bit of a miscommunication. Not to say that L'Jarius Sneed was wrong by saying what he was going to say, but it just seems like he and the team are not seeing eye to eye on his injury.
Yeah, or maybe they actually do see eye to eye, but they haven't communicated with each other on, being in unison in terms of the messaging, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I think that too. Like sometimes, like a guy's good, and they're like, "Hey, man, but here's the deal. Like, we're gonna take this slow. So, like, we know you've been cleared. We're not gonna race this thing back. So we're gonna start you off on PUP, and But so somebody comes and asks him how you feel, like, "Hey, man, I'm good." It's like, no, man. Like, we talked about this. We said that we're gonna take. So I think that can happen. I'm not saying that is what's happening, but I think there's a combination of, hey, okay, like, are we on the same page with how somebody is health-wise? Typically speaking, it's the player saying, "Hey, no, I'm not ready yet," and the team being like, "No, we think you are." So, like, this feels different in terms of that. And then on the flip side of it, it's, from the communication standpoint of it, like, all right, is everybody, on the same page with, what our messaging is? And sometimes that does fall through the cracks, but I don't know. I mean, there's part of it for me, veteran, proven player, that you just say, look, let's everybody take a breath. Like, do we think he's going to play when we get going? And if everyone's kind of on the same page with that, like, rather than, hey, at the beginning of training camp, reading too much into it, that's how I feel at the current moment, even with the mixed signals.
Do you, getting back to the quarterbacks, do you think they bring another quarterback in that will compete for that second spot, or do you think they will bring a guy in just to be another camp body, another arm? Because they got Allen, obviously, and he seems to be the backup right now. Tim Boyle, is he going to be on the team?
Well, I'll tell you what I would do. I'll tell you what I would do. There are guys, I don't have it in front of me right now. Like you saw, Case Keenum just recently signed with somebody, right? There are guys that that are out there, veteran or a younger player, didn't work out somewhere, like whatever it is, right? There are guys out there that I would say, look, I'm not handing the job to a relatively unproven backup. I'm not doing that. Like, I'm creating competition in my room. It's good for Cam Ward to see better play, better performance at practice, all of it. So I want competition in that room if I've got a rookie quarterback, plain and simple, period. So like that's like, for me, no, I'm trying to get as much competition in there as possible. And look, who knows what it means? Like, and I'm not saying you need to trade like valuable resources to make it happen, but Cleveland's got a bunch of quarterbacks and got some veterans. The Giants, have a more crowded room than you thought. And so, like, if I'm a Titans fan, do I feel better if Jameis Winston's on the roster than if he's not? Yeah, I do. So, yeah, I do not think you stand pat with where it is and just bring someone in for camp.
Well, Tim, the best available quarterback on the free agent market is Carson Wentz.
Yep.
What do you think?
And listen,
what do you think about Wentz in that scenario that you're detailing?
I'd bring him in. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I'm at the Giants. Eli Manning's the quarterback. He's a young quarterback. I forget that year if it was like Jesse Palmer who had been the backup in New York for a little bit. Like, they brought Rob Johnson in. Rob Johnson was a starter in Buffalo for a while. It was kind of getting later in his career. It was like, look, we're not just going to hand this job to me, So, like, like, let's bring in veteran competition for him. And look, and if you don't keep him, great. But bring in competition. And if you're Carson Wentz, like, you should look at it and go, yeah, wait a minute. Like, that's a division that's winnable. Like, let me go there. And if Cam Ward, hits his thumb on someone's helmet, I'm the starter. And I have a chance to resurrect my career. So I think there's value in bringing in a veteran player that started games before. And I would absolutely start to, figure out which direction I wanted to go. But Carson Wentz would absolutely look, just like Case Keenum is somebody that I'd be like, yeah, bring that guy in.
You mentioned the Browns. How do you handicap that quarterback competition as the Browns start training camp?
Yeah, I think the starter for week 1 is either Flacco or Pickett, just because I think they'll perform better this time of year. Stefanski does have to win or he's going to get fired. And then I think how the reps go after that are going to be, are probably going to favor Gabriel. And so, look, I think those are the 3 guys that make the roster. Could they keep 4? Maybe they do. Maybe somebody, wants Flacco or Pickett, doesn't put the trade together for them. And I think in that case, you could have one of those veterans and then the 2 rookies. But, yeah, limited preseason, limited opportunities for reps and snaps. Like, if I were to say, like, okay, one guy's not going to be on the team when the season starts, it would be Shedeur Sanders.
2 quick ones before we let you go, Tim. Will the third regime be the charm for Trevor Lawrence and the Jaguars this season?
Meaning they win the division?
Or Trevor Lawrence
blossoms
under Liam Cohen?
Like, balls out and everything changes? No, I think we'll see maybe a little more consistency and improvement. I don't think they win the division. I don't think it's one of these things where, like, every question on him gets answered. No.
And the last one for you, Tim. Which offense in the AFC West will be good enough to challenge Kansas City in 2025? Las Vegas, the LA Chargers, or the Denver Broncos?
I would say, because I do think Denver's going to be better. Bo Nix played better than people realized. I think the Chargers are going to be one of these teams that becomes really, really physical, and their physicality is going to be problems for people. I just think that that's the direction that it's heading for the Chargers. So I'll go with them. I might be a year too soon, but I'll go with the Chargers.
Tim Hasselbeck, ESPN NFL analyst, head coach of the Ensworth Tigers, joining us on D. Mace, Vingan, and Donick as he does every week. Tim, good luck with the heat acclimation. Sounds terrible.
Take care of them kids.
Hey, listen, I'm going to do that. And then D-Mace, just be careful of Coldplay tonight.
Okay.
All right.
I'm not going to Coldplay.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Tim.
See you, fellas.
615-737-1025. That's right. The Coldplay concert is tonight at Nissan Stadium.
You know
so
how
again,
many memes they've done?
no
of
side
that?
chicks. No side chicks.
Man, they're going to be trying to catch somebody.
Or side pieces.
Yeah.
You
they're
might
gonna be
have.
trying to-
What do you call a side? What do you call? What's the male version of a side chick? Is it just a side piece?
A side dude.
A side dude?
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know.
I don't know.
615-737-1025. Nevertheless,
Side chick or side dude.
Yes.
Watch yourself at the Coldplay
no
concert.
side pieces.
Yes.
615-737.
On the entrees.
Indeed. 1025. We will get back to your reaction to Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi's news conference. What did you hear in that news conference that stood out to you that you want us to discuss? Let us know. 615-737-1025. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 1025-1063. The Game.
But how'd they do? How do you feel about how the guys came back?
I mean, whether you were in a coma when I answered Tom's question or typing on your phone or tweeting, I don't know, but I spent 5 minutes answering that question. And I can go back through it, but I'd rather not.
Oh boy. 'Tis the season, Mike Vrabel.
Yes.
Snippy with reporters in New England.
That was New England?
That was today.
Oh my
in New
goodness!
England.
I thought you were pulling up clips on the Titans.
Nope, that was from
wow.
today.
He's still at it, huh?
Yes.
Nothing's changed. Oh my goodness! You gotta love Braves, man. You gotta love Braves.
You can take Mike Vrabel out of Tennessee,
but you can't take whatever's in him out of him.
Yes, that is true. Also,
that's that Ohio in him. Isn't he from Ohio?
Yeah, he's from. I believe he's from Ohio.
Pennsylvania, Ohio. One of them. I don't know.
He's from that area of the country.
Yeah, Northeast.
But because he spent so
What
much
else?
time playing for the Patriots, I
We consider-
associate him with
Yeah,
Boston, even though he's
exactly.
not a Bostonian. By the way, some sad news to pass along, not sports related. Ozzy Osbourne has died. Ozzy Osbourne has died at the age of 76. So,
wow.
For you Ozzy Osbourne Black Sabbath fans out there,
I just remember
the Prince of Darkness, unfortunately, has left us at the age of 76.
I just remember the show. That's
Yeah.
where
Sharon!
Sharon!
Yes,
That's
the
why I got
Osbournes.
to know, Ozzy Osbourne.
That was a
the
different type of
Osbournes.
Ozzy Osbourne
Yes.
that everybody else had gotten to know during his career. But unfortunate news about Ozzy Osbourne.
Also, Mike Vrabel's from Akron, Ohio.
Okay.
There we go.
The land of
That's that
LeBron.
Midwestern in him.
Hmm.
So
But we know that it's football season because Mike Vrabel is chastising reporters for being in a coma or typing on their phones or what have you. So we have more reaction to Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi's news conference at 615-737-1025. Wes in Clarksville says, to me, Snead coming here was just a money grab. Reminds me of Julio Jones. A lot of people.
a money grab.
Yes, a lot of
He
people.
didn't have anything to do with it. He was traded. It wasn't like he signed as a free agent. He was traded. He had no say in it. He was traded here.
Well, you could say he did have a say in it because do you think the Titans would have made the trade had they known that L'Jarius Sneed wasn't going to sign with the Tennessee Titans?
There's no player that I have. There hasn't been that I know of any player that has said, a really good player, I'm not leaving. Y'all gonna trade me. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not signing an extension with the other team. No, this ain't basketball. This ain't baseball. Our money isn't guaranteed. So when they trade you and they say you're gonna get a contract done, hopefully you get the contract done. If you don't, then the next following season, you can make the decision on whether to sign back with the team or not.
Jonathan on our text line says, I didn't like Chad Brinker before, and after that news conference, I don't like him even more. He just likes to hear himself talk, and I'm pretty sure somebody asked Borgonzi a direct question, and Brinker literally started talking before Borgonzi could answer the question about being a first-time GM.
Well, I mean, listen, regardless of, how the sort of titles arrange themselves, Brinker is supreme lord of all football.
The supreme ruler of football,
Yeah, supreme
Chad
ruler
Brinker.
of football. So with that being said, that's why he took over the answer, because he's the supreme ruler of football. And there were a few that Borgonzi passed over to Brinker, and vice versa. So man, it's a hard crowd, boy.
What did you think of Tim Hasselbeck's suggestion that the Titans do bring in an experienced quarterback to provide Cam Ward competition on the roster?
I like the addition of a veteran quarterback, but not fully for the reasons that Tim Hasselbeck or one of the reasons that Tim Hasselbeck says. It's not competition for necessarily for Cam Ward. I think you want to create that competition for that backup position. Now, you hope that Cam Ward, he's a self-motivator, so you hope that he doesn't really need competition to elevate himself. But we know if you do have the competition, typically the best guy is going to win, which means you hope that the position is better than what you originally thought. So, but I think wholeheartedly bring in a veteran guy, but that veteran guy is to help push, So again, you can have a good backup. You always want to have a guy that can come in and win you 2 to 4 games at least. And the concern is Brandon Allen hasn't done much in his league.
10 career starts.
Yes, he hasn't
2
done
wins.
much in his league. So you would love to have someone that is a little bit more seasoned, that can push Cam a little, but it's not pushing him to challenge him for the job, but it's just to push him so he can get better, showing him, how to be a pro, showing him things to do, how to truly, watch film. And they're going to teach him all that stuff, and I'm sure he does. But you want that veteran. That's what I mean by pushing him mentally.
So last month, it may have been even 2 months ago at this point. I think it was last month. We played a clip from your old teammate, Joe Flacco, from Browns camp, talking about being a mentor. And if I recall correctly, you said that the mentorship aspect of a veteran quarterback who might be a backup, Joe Flacco could end up starting for the Browns. But the idea of a veteran quarterback coming in as a mentor is a bit overblown.
In today's football, I think it is, because I think people look at being a mentor as sitting a guy down, talking to him, guiding him through, and some of it is, I get it. But in the world of sports, a lot of times mentoring is just doing your job, and that young guy watching you because you've had success in this league, doing your job the way it's supposed to be, being professional. That young kid sees that. And when he asks you a question, you give him an answer if you have one, or you steer him to someone or play where he can get the answer if you don't have it. That's what being a mentor is. You don't necessarily have to go out of your way to, you need to do this. Come here. No, it's watch what I do. If you ask me questions, I'm going to answer them all day, but watch what I do.
Here's my other question in regards to that. So let's just say, for the purpose of this conversation, the Titans sign Carson Wentz.
Yes.
That's not going to happen, but let's just talk about it for the sake of this question I'm going to ask you. Carson Wentz has started close to 100 games in the NFL. He's played MVP level football in his career. Now, that part of his career is over, but he did that at one point. Brandon Allen, again, has started 10 games in his NFL career. Tim Boyle has started 5 games in his NFL career. Do you think it would be better for Cam Ward to have the presence of a backup quarterback who has performed at a high level in the NFL versus 2 backup quarterbacks who are journeymen at best? Do you think that matters at all in the development of Cam Ward?
It all depends. Listen, journeymen sometimes become great coaches. They become great offensive coordinators, really good coaches. So I don't want to sit here and say, not journeymen, because a lot of them get into college, coaching, and they are successful coaches, whether it be at the college ranks or at the NFL ranks. I look back at Ryan Tannehill, Neil O'Donnell, guys like that came in here that had proven themselves. Neil had led his team to a Super Bowl. Ryan Tannehill was a damn good quarterback. They went to the playoffs while he was there. I look at those guys, and when they came here, they were told, you are the backup. You are the backup. That's who you are, because we got a young guy, whether it be Steve or who was the quarterback at the time, Marcus, whether it be one or the other. We got a young quarterback, but you're just there. And then so happens, both of them get an opportunity to play because one get injured, and then Ryan Tannehill says he ends up being the starter ultimately. But that wasn't Neil's case, because, again, Mac's our guy, you're the backup, and we'll go from there. And if you bring in a Carson Wentz, it needs to be told to Carson Wentz, you are the backup. Carson Wentz now understands that my job as the backup is to prepare as best as I can and to help the young quarterback any way I can. If it's just, showing up early and being there when he gets there, or, like I said, showing him plays that you ran, or that may be similar to what y'all running and how he saw it. That's what it's about. And if he asks me a question, I'm gonna answer it. That's what that mentorship is about. But it's not about, oh, I'm competing with you for the number one job. I'm gonna push you to get better. But everybody in the building has told me, and I understand by me signing the contract here, I am not starting quarterback unless he gets hurt. That's it.
One texter says, is Tannehill a threat to sign a contract anywhere? I think that ship has sailed.
It may have sailed. You haven't heard Ryan Tannehill. You didn't even hear his name much last year.
Ryan Tannehill, I'm sure, was hoping to be last season's version of Joe Flacco. When a quarterback goes down, he's on the couch, he's ready to go. Now, Joe Flacco was so good in 5 or 6 games with the Cleveland Browns that he won comeback player of the year, if I recall correctly. That opportunity did not present itself for Ryan Tannehill. He's been out of the league now for a full season. He turns 37 in less than a week. On July 27th, Ryan Tannehill will turn 37 years old. I think at this point, that ship has sailed. How many quarterbacks sat out a full season and came back to the NFL?
I'm sure there have been.
Oh, I'm sure there have been.
Yeah.
But I can't think of any off the top of my head.
Any off the top of my head, because did Joe sit out a full season? I don't think Joe sat out a full season. Maybe half the season, I know, but full season, I'm not sure.
No, he was with the Jets in 2022, then came back with the Browns in 2023 before playing for the Colts last season.
So yeah,
so he did not have a gap year like Ryan Tannehill had.
I can't, not off the top of my head, think of quarterbacks that were gone, at least not in recent memory. That starting quarterbacks that left the league and came back, after a year.
Matthew in Nashville.
Outside of injury.
Matthew in Nashville says Michael Vick.
Yeah, yes, because Mike, he had
that is true because he sat out for 2 seasons.
But he didn't want to retire.
He was in prison.
Exactly.
He was in prison. He was also much younger than Ryan Tannehill.
Yes.
He was in his prime.
Teddy Bridgewater?
Yes, you're right. Teddy Bridgewater.
Let's take a look. He kind of got in some sort of trouble.
Yeah, for paying, for taking care of some students, helping them. So it's just
But I think to answer the texter's question, Ryan Tannehill, I think he missed his window.
Yeah.
He was hoping that he could be the Joe Flacco of the 2024 NFL season. It did not happen. I can't imagine a team is going to call up a 37-year-old quarterback who did not play in the league last season for a job. So I think Tannehill is effectively retired without actually announcing his retirement.
Yeah, because it's not like, does Tannehill even want to come out of retirement? Because typically guys that want to come out of retirement, you see them throwing and clips of them throwing, still working out and still throwing the receivers that are in the league. I don't think you've seen any of that around Tannehill through this summer. Now, I'm not saying he hadn't been working out, but he hadn't put himself out there as if he wants to come back to the NFL. So yeah, that ship might be gone. It ain't turning around no time soon.
615-737-1025. We will continue to take your reaction all show long on the Titans. All right. We have a few minutes, guys, to prepare ourselves. Jared Stillman will join the program coming up next as we transition from DVD to Stillman and Company. I can only imagine what Jared, I know what Derek might say, but I can only imagine what Jared will say with all of the L'Jarius Sneed news from the news conference. And we'll do that next. We'll get it over with. 615-737-1025. Derek Mason, Adam Vingan, 102.5-106.3 The Game.
you said 4 games. But people are looking at it like, man, they're going to end up getting another high pick, which means, you know, Brian Callahan is going to be out the door, which means they're going to have to start all over again, you know, developing a quarterback. Listen, they're trying to do whatever they can. Now, are people listening? You know, probably not. It's probably going in one ear and not the other. I know it is with, you know, probably you and some other people. But he's trying to do whatever he possibly can to change the narrative of this team. When you're not a winning team, man, there shouldn't be anything you shouldn't do to try to make yourself, outside of cheating, to try to make yourself a better team. No, but that was last. I don't know how good or bad this team's going to be, but based on last year, no, I have never, outside of injury. Yeah. Well, Joe was going to ask that. He threw a monkey wrench in it. Well, this team isn't good. And the roster, if we're looking at it today, this is not a good roster because why? The guys from last year really didn't take the jump that you expected them to take last year. And then you got some young guys that are not proven. So you're looking at this roster, you got some hurt guys that you wanted to be contributors, big contributors that were not. So you're looking at this roster and saying, man, it's not a good roster for all, take into account all of that. This is not a good roster, but they have an opportunity to change it. Now, will they change it? Who knows? More than likely, they will be picking high again. But that's why the question was asked, you know, when it comes to this team and patience and what you expect. He just kept saying development, because he probably knows, like a lot of people, that the wins may not be there because this roster isn't, the way we're seeing it, it isn't as good as it needs to be to get the wins we need.
I do have. Go ahead, Derek.
Yeah, go ahead, Derek. No. I got you. Yeah.
Oh, you're in store for some more, buddy.
Oh yeah, don't worry about it. You're in store for a few more. Okay. Okay. I like that one. Good choice. Remember that because we end up losing. I never wore long sleeves, man, because our thing was whatever you started camp with, that's what you wore throughout the year in the games. No, not really. Ah, man. Once you see, if for people that are not running around, it's cold.
He's made of different stuff, Jared. Don't you know that?
For us. Yes. Yep, I remember that. I broke the record in Cleveland. It was a snowy day.
Number 2, week 6 of 2003 against the Texans. 6 for 177, 3 touchdowns, 32, 46, and 50 yards. All I remember about that game was Steve McNair just threw you the ball, and then you ran down the field with it. I think Steve threw for like 500 that day, and that was when 500 meant something. And then I put number 1, the kickoff or the free punt return in the AFC Championship game that really flipped that game over and led you guys to the Super Bowl.
I think all 5 of those are great.
Is he missing anything?
Nah, he's not missing anything. Not in the Titan uniform. I mean, we can throw stuff in there, but I think
well, they didn't induct you into the Maryland Hall of Fame.
Not yet.
Not yet.
And I don't think they're going to induct you into the New York Jet Hall of Fame.
Definitely not.
Probably you're
Nor
better.
the Houston Texans.
You're better off, I think, not being inducted into the Jets Hall
Neither
of
the
Fame.
Houston Texans. So.
Adam, thank you for your apology. Derek, congratulations on the Hall of Fame.
Thank you,
and
brother. I appreciate
once again, I would say thank you for your apology. I know in spirit you really mean it, even if you won't say it and admit it.
As I said, I am remorseful over an action I may have participated in. But that will do it for us today. Jared will continue the conversation on Chad Brinker and Mike Borgonzi's news conference, as well as previewing training camp. First practice tomorrow morning. Derek Mason plans to be out there. We look forward to getting his takeaways tomorrow at 11. Stillman and Company coming up next.
Be love on your people. Have a safe, blessed, wonderful Tuesday. Stay out of this rain because it's going to start raining if it's not already. Peace.